I'm pretty good. Yeah, you? Tharic. Okay. Should I? I mean, I guess we're not going to have a chance to discover the backstory naturally, so maybe I should just read it out. Okay. All right. Let me see here. So Tharic's mother was a prostitute with a local lord's army, basically, and Tharic was raised traveling around with this army as it sort of marched through the lands, like fighting various people, while his mother occupied herself with her work. As he got older, he kind of started helping out, helping the soldiers train, maybe like carting around their weapons and things like that. Starts getting older, a bit stronger, starts to maybe think about joining the army. Really, his mother's like his only really close friend or person that he knows.
Uh huh.
Unfortunately, after some years, his mother became seriously ill with an occupational disease. Let's just put it that way. And one morning, after Tharic awoke, she passed away in his arms. Dealing with a lot of emotions, attempting to clear his head, he went out to the training yard to sort of train with the soldiers and try and, get rid of the emotion. Where one of his good friends, a man named Jarrent, made a quip about Tharic's mother, as the men often did. Usually that didn't incur much reaction from Tharic, but given the situation, he kind of lost his rag, attacked Jarrent, and killed him in the middle of the camp. So, fearing the wrath of the commander, he grabbed what little weapons he could, what armor he could, and fled the encampment. And has just been traveling town by town since, doing odd work as a mercenary, just trying to get by. He's maybe 6'1". He's got long, greasy, unkempt hair, stubble, doesn't really care too much about his appearance, carries two long swords, and wears splint mail armor. He's kind of reserved, quiet, doesn't make friends easily, tries to avoid confrontation, but when pushed, will react violently.
All right. Cool. So, Theric is going to start in Berkshire, in our happy little town that those of you that watch Shenanigans should know oh so well. And we're going to start off actually in Shenanigans proper. It is a cold evening. You've just come into town from, it doesn't really matter where actually, but from the
Sure.
east, from the capital, Wicthron Marenta. It's been a long journey, like 4 days on the road, and you finally pull into town. You get pointed down the road towards Shenanigans, told that's the place where your kind of people should go.
Okay.
Um, and
Right, yeah. So I guess I head in.
make your way to the bar.
Is it busy?
It's a little bit busy, not super packed, but there's enough people going around that the proprietor is busy moving drinks here and there. There's a younger girl and a younger boy bussing dishes, and a woman with a bow slung over her back behind the bar, collecting money and talking with a few patrons. There's a pretty diverse group of people here. You see definitely a lot of mercenaries, a lot of sellswords, a few clerics, and maybe a wizard or two kind of
Okay.
scattered around the place. You also see various races, mostly human, of course, but there's a few dwarves, a group of halflings, and one elf who is talking with a human.
All right. Well, does this place look like an inn as well? Yeah, like an inn. Like, does it look like I can get a room here?
Yes, it does.
Okay. So I'll head up to the bar, sling my backpack over my shoulder, and put it down because my shoulder's been hurting carrying it all day.
Hmm.
And I guess I try and make eye contact with the person serving behind the bar to get them to come over.
Yep. The male proprietor, comes over. He's like 6'2", 185 pounds. He's got some chainmail on and a sword at his side. Um, Makes his way over to
Okay.
you and asks, "Well, what would you like there, buddy?"
Hey there, friend. I was wondering if I could get a room for the night.
Oh, we're full up. Sorry, we, got a lot of people coming in from out of town this week, but you're more than welcome to stay and have a drink.
You kidding me? I've just walked for 4 days. There's got
All
to be
right.
somewhere in this town I can sleep.
Well, there's another inn. He kind of looks two ways and goes, all right, down the east side of town. Head out maybe 2 blocks and then hang a left on the street with the big oak tree. There's a small little inn over there. They're not the best. I really wouldn't recommend them, but they're the only other place in town. Unless you want to sleep in the stables. You're more than welcome to have the stables. You might have some company.
How much is a room in that other place?
Couple of silver.
Giganda. I look in my coin purse. I'm not too wealthy. Well, tell you what, I could do with getting off my feet. I'll take a drink.
All right.
Got some ale.
Of course. 2 copper, please. And he goes and pulls a couple of pints of ale, slides one to you, and takes another and heads off down the bar to give it to someone else.
All right. Is there a seat?
Yeah. There's one seat left at the bar. The woman with the bow over her shoulder comes and takes whatever coins you put on the table. And keeps moving.
All right. So I want to drink my pint relatively slowly, and maybe just try and listen in to conversations at the bar. Maybe if there's you said there's other mercenaries, so maybe I want to try and hear what jobs they've got, or maybe if one of the wizards makes their way to the bar, maybe I'll have a conversation with them.
Okay.
But I'm not gonna go approaching anyone at this point.
Sure. Most of the talk is not about work. It's about things that they did on their last jobs. It's people trading stories. And this one time we came up on a basilisk. We came up on it from behind while it was crunching on some rocks, and we got out of there as fast as we could. One of my companions stopped to take a look, and it started to turn around. She was lucky she closed her eyes in time. She just scrambled out of there and was gone. And wow, I can't believe you saw a basilisk. They roam the woods around here. You got to be careful these days.
So thinking about dangerous things in the woods, have I experienced anything dangerous on the road, or has it just been, a grueling walk?
It was pretty easy for you. You saw armed civilians and maybe a couple of guards or mercenaries guarding some wagons, but you didn't see any monsters. You definitely heard stories.
So I guess I raised an eyebrow at the basilisk talk then, and maybe consider that I've been a little bit lucky.
Mm-hmm.
Reconsider maybe traveling alone. But then again, I eye this guy up, and he doesn't look too tough. I probably handle myself. Yeah, so if they're just making small talk, I think I'll ignore them for now. I'll drink my drink. I'll talk to the wizard if they come to the bar, but otherwise I'm going to drink this and then head out to this other inn.
Okay. Yeah, as time passes, they don't really bring up anything. The wizard never comes over to the bar. And
so I drink the rest of my pint, slam it down on the bar, stand up, hoist my backpack over my shoulders, and turn around to look over the bar, the sitting room.
Mm-hmm.
And these wizards, you said there's a couple of wizards. Is one of them sat in a corner in a dark robe on his own?
One of them is talking to the elf, and he's wearing light-colored robes. The other one is in a group of halflings, or has approached the group of halflings and is standing over their table. He wears kind of like midnight blue robes. The halflings don't look too much like the warrior type, but they do carry short swords at their sides. And the group of 6 halflings is talking to the wizard.
Is there an easy way to maybe just go and eavesdrop on that conversation?
Easy,
without
yes.
Being too
subtle,
obvious?
no. Yeah.
Maybe there's a table behind them with an empty chair that I could just sit down on.
There is, but there's a conversation going at that table. You could join the conversation, but there's
I'll just sit down at the chair and not say anything to the 2 people who are talking there.
Okay. They look at you for a few moments, but when it becomes apparent that you're not joining in, they go back to their work.
Yeah, I grunt at them. If they say anything.
Yeah.
And then I try and listen to the wizard talking behind me.
The halflings are asking him about a potion. They seem to have found one, and they want to know what it does. And the wizard's trying to politely tell them that he's not just going to be identifying their stuff for free, Oh, well, It's really quite difficult, and it's a dangerous task in identifying potions. One must sip from it and expose themselves to whatever dangers lie within before they can really understand the true nature of the potion. And the halflings are saying, "Oh, well, that doesn't sound too bad. Well, if it what if if it tastes like this, what does that mean? Well, what if it tastes like that? How would we know if it's a healing potion or a flying potion?" The wizard's like,
Right.
"Well, it takes a little bit of experience and practice with these things. It's really quite a specialty skill to learn. Not anyone can just pick it up, you see. Good identifiers will charge an arm and a leg for these things. After all, how valuable is a healing potion? It could save your life." And halflings, the conversation goes back and forth where they don't quite get that he's saying you got to pay me to do this. And
Sure. All right. So after their conversation finishes, do the halflings leave, or do they just go back to sitting around?
no, eventually they pick up on it, and the wizard, kind of waits for a moment. They don't make him an offer. He gives them a smile, but it's got a little bit tired, a little bit exasperated, and he heads over back to the guy he was talking with before.
Sure, but the group of halflings, do they leave the inn?
They
or do they stay?
They continue to sit and change to speaking in halfling.
All right, so I'm going to grab my bag. My plan is to maybe go and get myself set up at this other inn, check out how busy it is there, and maybe when I get my room, I'll come back to Shenanigans to spend the night drinking.
Okay.
So I'll head out, weary-shouldered, hauling my stuff to this inn by the tree.
Okay. So
is it evening?
It is nighttime. Sorry. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I as well take notes of how busy the streets are at night.
They're pretty empty. You step out into the cold night. There's not a lot going on around you. And you start making your way east along this main road. It's actually surprisingly desolate. You see lights on in various windows all around, and you can still hear the music coming from the inn behind you, but there's really no one on the streets. You go a couple of blocks, and
this music's pretty suspicious now.
There's a kind of a lack of nighttime town music, so this is as good as it gets. As you're making your way towards the oak tree, you spot a young girl. She kind of looks like maybe a street urchin or something. Her clothes are dirty, really dirty and tattered. Her hair is all messed up. She's in an alleyway, and she looks at you with big haunting eyes, and then it just kind of says, "Mister, help."
Yeah, I mean, sure. Given my background, I suppose I'm quite susceptible to a lady in need in this kind of situation, so I'll march over there to the alleyway, and I'll say...
as you walk over towards her, she starts to backpedal, and then turns and starts to run down the alleyway a little bit.
Okay. I'll draw my swords and look around, expecting an ambush.
You see nothing. She stops at the far end of the alley and gives a look over her shoulder and says, "Help!
Okay.
Help!"
Put my swords back in their sheaths and slowly, cautiously walk down the alleyway. If there's any turns coming up, I'm not just going to blindly walk past them. I'm going to check, make sure there's no one waiting there.
Okay. As you follow her, she begins to run further ahead and then stops and waits for you to kind of catch up with her because you're going a lot slower. And as you get a little bit closer, within 30 feet of her, she begins to run off down the streets again.
The fuck is this?
She's a small child, and small children are quick and quiet, and she just quickly filters through the streets of the town.
It's a child, okay.
Yes, young girl, maybe 7 or 8 years old.
All right, so I think maybe I've been following for a few minutes, and I look back and I kind of realize that I'm not sure now where I am in the town. I'm not sure how to get back to the main road I was on. I'm not sure how to get back to this inn, and resign myself to just following this girl to see where she's going to go. So I maybe pick up the pace a little bit.
Pretty soon you find yourself on the outside edge of town. There's an old kind of abandoned church looming in front of you. Maybe, just a little bit down the ways. There's a full moon out tonight, so you can see, even though there's some tree cover, and it's the middle of summer, so there's stars out all over the place, making it not easy, but you can at least see in the dark.
All right. I guess now that I'm out of the town, can I see the girl in the distance?
Mm-hmm. She's
Running
about
towards this
60 feet
church?
from you now.
As I'll shout, "Girl, what are you doing?
Help! I need help. Please help
Then come
me.
here."
She runs off and kind of around the corner of this old, ruined, abandoned church.
I look around. I assume there's just no one else around.
Nope. It's quiet out here.
I look at the church. Does it look creepy?
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I'll stalk towards the church.
Okay. You pass the church and you see her kind of a few hundred feet away in a clearing well away from any trees. There's something odd about the clearing. Can you give me a perception check?
Yep. Are we doing normal?
No,
plus...
we're doing 2-point Neil. Yeah, so add your perception score.
That's what I consider normal.
Ah, fantastic. It's the right way to go. All right. Yeah. You just get an unusual feeling about this area. You spot nothing.
This entire situation gives me an unusual feeling.
Okay.
It's a little bit strange. But I suppose I'm not just gonna turn down the opportunity to sort of save this girl if she is under some sort of distress. So the clearing, you say I get an unusual feeling. Why is it deathly silent, or maybe the animals are a bit too quiet, so I can't put my finger on it?
You can hear birds chirping in the background. Not really chirping, like crows squawking in the middle of the night, and you can hear crickets and all sorts of forest life sounds at night in and around you.
And is she just stood in the middle of the clearing?
Mm-hmm. There's tall grasses around the clearing. The trees are well moved back. You just can't put your finger on what it was that kind of freaks you out. But
all right, it spooked me a little bit, so I'm now gonna sprint at the girl and try and grab her.
All right.
I assume I can run faster than her, so
probably
I'm gonna try and catch her.
All right, you run up to her, and I need you to make me a saving throw versus death as you run towards her, please.
Yep. It's a fail.
You trip over something. You don't know what it is, but your foot hits something in the tall grass, and you splatter down onto your face.
Okay.
When you look up, the girl's maybe 15 feet from you, kind of looking right at you, and then she just begins to fade and disappear, and you're left alone in the clearing by yourself.
I think back to the stories that people were telling in the bar about dangerous things in the woods, and I am now sort of standing outside of the town in the middle of the woods at night. Mm-hmm. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm going to walk up to where she disappeared from.
You see a freshly overturned pile of dirt, and glancing about you, you realize that this is actually an abandoned cemetery.
Oh, shit.
And everything is very old here, except for this big heaping pile of relatively freshly overturned dirt. Can't be more than 2 days old, or can't be more than a week old. Probably only 4 or 5 days.
I withdraw my dagger and start digging through the upturned dirt.
Okay. It takes you a while to dig deep enough to find something, but eventually your dagger goes through not just dirt, but you kind of feel it find something that it resists as it sinks into something a little bit more solid and fleshy.
Fleshy?
Yeah.
All right. Sort of use my hands to knock it away, try and get a look at it, fearing the worst.
There is a body wrapped in a cloak.
Oh. I guess I pull my shirt over my mouth and try and lift it out of the grave.
Okay. It is the body of a small child, and its arms are kind of, pushed partway through. Like the cloak its arms have made its way out of the cloak, and you see its fingernails are crusted with dirt, and there's kind of dirt piled in and around it. It almost looks like the child was trying to claw its way out of the earth itself.
Shit. Okay. So you said it looked fresh.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any way of knowing how fresh?
Not really. There's no grass growing on it.
Okay.
Probably more than a day, less than a week. Probably 3 or 4 days, maybe 5.
Right. I suppose then I can't see any sort of tracks leading away from this that aren't mine.
No.
Hmm.
Um,
How far back is the town from here?
Not too far. You know the direction it's in. You should be able to make your way back to town somehow.
All right. I'm not going to carry the body back to town. I'm going to leave it where it is. Maybe I'll even. Do I think like I could get back to this point easily, or not?
Maybe not in the night, but you could probably find it in the morning.
So I'm gonna get like, if there's a tree nearby, I'll hack a branch off and like stick it in the ground.
Do you have the child's body outside of the dirt or still
I just kind of
buried?
like, I've unburied it and kind of like pulled it out a little bit, and I just leave it. So I'm not gonna push the dirt back over it. Although actually, maybe I will actually push the dirt back over a little bit.
Okay.
And then stick a tree branch in the ground.
All right.
To be able to find it.
As you kind of semi-rebury the body, you notice that the mouth of this child is already filled with dirt. And it definitely looks like the child that approached you earlier.
Yeah. Well. Yeah, maybe I'm actually more sort of shook up then. So yeah, maybe like stand up, like making that realization and start to like back away from it. Like look around. You say I'm in an old cemetery.
Mm-hmm.
So there's like crumbling graves and stuff, is there?
Mm-hmm.
I take a torch and light it. And look around. I guess I'm gonna start walking back to the town.
Okay. Takes you 10, 15 minutes, but eventually you make your way back into town. The sounds of the forest fade, and you find yourself once again alone on the city streets.
So, grumbling to myself, I maybe attempt to find a guard or a guard station. I didn't see any guards patrolling, right?
Nope.
There's not a wall around the town?
Nope.
Okay. I'll head for the oak tree then if I can see it.
Sure. It takes you a little while, but eventually you find the oak tree, and you look down the road and you see a nice warm light coming out from an inn down the street.
Feeling better already.
Come in here and talk to me like that.
You're right. I'm sorry.
Looks like a place for locals. There's a lot of people hanging around the bar. There's a few people that look like they're travelers who have come, but they look more like merchants than soldiers. You don't see a single blade amongst the crowd there.
Okay.
No.
So I'll walk in through the door.
Sure.
And stomp heavily towards the bar.
Yeah. The barkeep takes a look at you and goes, "Well, shit, I should have washed you off like a dog. You're filthy. What are you doing tracking mud in here?"
Respect.
Excuse me? This is my establishment. How dare you come in here and talk to me like that?
You're right. I'm sorry. It's been a tough few days. I'd hope perhaps you've got a bed for me.
Yeah, I do. 4 silver.
Thank you. All right, give him 4 silver. I guess I've got to break a gold.
Sure. He breaks it for you without...
Ripping me off.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Does he give me the key?
Mm-hmm.
I'll just go straight up to the room then.
All right. You make your way up to the room.
All right. I want to dump my my bag down. And maybe like draw one of my swords and like look at my reflection in the blade. I'm feeling a bit like shook up, so I just want to see if I look pasty or Like I've seen a ghost.
You, yeah, you look
Like
a little nervous. Your face is
yeah,
kind of a shattered wreck.
it's coming through, right? That's what I don't want. I like to maintain a hard exterior. So I want to take. I open. Is there a window?
Mm-hmm.
I open the window and look
It's
out.
worth noting that you're on the first floor. Which no, you're on the ground floor. I'm sorry. I know how you guys have first floor as a second
Okay.
floor. Yeah,
I totally thought you meant the second.
yeah. No,
Yeah.
you're on the ground level.
All right. Yeah, I just sort of inhale the night air, looking through the window out onto the empty streets.
Hmm.
I happen to be facing the graveyard, do I?
No, and the graveyard's pretty far away.
Okay. So I just want to try and like compose myself.
Okay. As you wait, you can still hear the sounds of the people in the common room section of the inn floating out to you. You can hear it through the outside as well as through your door. And after a few moments of kind of taking in the night air and trying to compose yourself, you see a set of guards walking down the street, idly chatting with one another.
Okay. Hello? Excuse me. I like motion to the guards.
They stop what they're doing and come over to you with a inquisitive look on their face and goes, "There a problem going on here, mister?"
Wait there. Can I climb out the window?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I climb out the window and is it just a hole? Like how does it close?
It's got a pair of shutters that close with a little latch on the inside.
Alright, I climb out and pull them closed from the outside. I think I found something you should take a look at. Have you got a few minutes to come with me?
What sort of thing? I say, giving you a skeptical look. One of them gets a little bit closer and starts to sniff around you to see how much you've had to drink.
Okay, like I back away from him, give him a dirty look. Well, there's no easy way to say this. And I'm thinking about what I'm going to say and kind of how it looks suspicious. I can't really say that I followed a ghost. I say, I think I found a makeshift grave.
Oh?
Outside of town. I think it's inside the cemetery. It looked fresh.
What
child.
What do you do and walk around cemeteries?
Well, I don't think you'd believe me, but I just had a strange feeling is all. I tend to get the gods sometimes lead me to things.
Uh-huh. Heard that one before. Why don't you show us the cemetery, says the other guy, and we'll take it from there.
Very well. And I'll take them there.
All right. The sounds of the inn fade as you lead these guys through the night streets. You have a little bit of trouble finding your way, but once you start heading south of town, they seem to understand the cemetery that you are intent on visiting, and they begin to push and lead the way. It takes another 15 minutes or so, and you find yourself back at the gravesite. The branch that you hacked off is still sticking out of the child's grave.
This is it. I was only here half an hour ago, an hour.
Uh-huh. Well, they look around, and one of them takes his spear and butt and kind of kicks the dirt with it a little bit and goes, "Looks pretty fresh. Looks recently dug up, too."
Yeah, I dug through the ground to see what was there.
Huh. What was there? Says one guard.
Take a look for
nervously.
yourself.
They exchange glances, and one of them takes the butt of the spear and kind of unceremoniously starts scooping dirt aside so he doesn't have to, get his hands dirty or anything.
Yeah.
The body's not that deeply buried. I don't think you deeply reburied it.
No, I just kind of like shoved the dirt back over it.
Right. Pretty quickly they come across the corpse, and they together use their spears to, prop her out and roll her out of the pit as much as possible, grab her by the ankles and drag her out. The blue robe cloak slides off of her, and they see the body of this child. They both kind of gasp in astonishment and look to you.
I look to them, suddenly realizing what they're thinking. Look, if I did this, why would I come to you? And she's been dead for days. I only arrived in town today.
and you just happen to wander way out here, find this body, and then just not say anything until you saw us walking by tonight?
I was gonna tell someone in the morning. I didn't know where to find you.
Why didn't you find us during the day?
I've only just arrived this evening.
So, let me get this straight. You came into town this evening and immediately went out to an abandoned cemetery outside of town and dug up a grave, and then just went back to your room at an inn?
I went into that first inn. The bigger one. The busier one.
Shenanigans, yeah.
Right, yeah. They had no beds. The innkeeper told me to go to that other inn, where I just was. I was walking through the streets down there. And like I said, I just got a strange feeling something drew me to this place. I don't expect you to understand. But I think we both know that I didn't kill this girl.
Well, I think maybe you had better spend a night with us in the jail cell while we wait for the sheriff to come back in the morning. He'll sort all these things out.
All my things are at the inn. I've just paid for a bed. I'm not a rich man. I'm not going anywhere. Can we just discuss this in the morning?
The other guy, who's been leaning over the body now, goes, Hey, Thomas? Isn't this cloak? He says, pulling the cloak around from the corpse and shaking it out. Isn't this one of Lord Oakenshield's sigils? He says, pointing to an oak tree emblazoned on the left lapel of the cloak. The other guard takes a look at it and gives a slow nod and looks back to you. He says, Do you know Lord Oakenshield? Or his wife?
Can't say I had the pleasure.
The two guards shuffle off a little bit and begin to whisper to one another. They're about 8 feet away from you on the other side of the corpse. One of them still holding the cloak.
I'm feeling a bit antsy. What weapons do they have?
They both carry spears and daggers.
I'm like checking their body language. You know, are their hands like fidgeting with their weapons?
Well, they walk with their weapons out at all times.
Okay.
So they've got weapons in hand. They're wearing studded leather armor, and they are definitely keeping their eyes on you as they chat.
All right. I try and just sort of stay calm. Ready to murder these two men if I have to, though.
Okay. Eventually they stop talking and they say, All right. We believe you.
Good. Thank you. I'm happy to speak with you tomorrow.
Why don't you head back to your inn, and we'll come by in the morning with the sheriff and grab you.
Perhaps bring a priest.
They nod.
All right. I'll walk back with them if they're going that way.
Yeah, they wait for you to make the first move, but they will follow you.
Sure. Yeah, like I'm not scared of these, so I just sort of like walk through them, just giving them my back towards the end.
You make it maybe 5 or 6 steps when you hear the familiar sound of someone, bracing themselves for an attack. And you can hear the shift of their hands. You can hear the spears like slapping into their free hands. You give a look over your shoulder just in time to see the two of them posed, ready to stab you. And
Shit.
Roll me initiative.
Am I in melee with them?
You are. But actually, I know we got a little bit of a late start, but we're going to take our first break here just as the guards set upon Theric. So we'll see you guys in a few minutes on the other side of our break. Bye-bye,
See you in a bit.